Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Aquarius for July 2018. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out my new moon and full moon blogs to help you activate your potentials with these transits, as well as many other blogs on my site. And if you'd love to learn astrology for personal or professional use, then I might still have some slots left in my astrology apprenticeship program. So what's going on in the month of July? We've got a crazy busy month. This eclipse energy that we've been talking about is really cooking up this month, although you might have seen manifestations from the 3 eclipses that we have between July and August. Already in May and June, 2 of the 3 eclipses actually occur in July. So we have 2 eclipses, we have Mars fully in retrograde, we have Mercury going into retrograde, and we have Jupiter going direct. At the same time as all of this is going on, specific for Aquarius, we have Mars spending almost 6 months in your sign. This is very notable, and this is very rare. So we're going to talk about that as well. So I'm going to split this reading up into some discussion about how some things are related directly from the stars to Aquarius placements, and then I'm going to follow that information up with some details about the general transits that you'll definitely want to know that will follow the specific Aquarius report. Okay, so we've got Jupiter going direct this month, and this is a really big deal because Jupiter is the bringer of luck and optimism and growth and expansion. And wherever he is in your chart, he's acting on something to grow it and expand it and amplify it. When Jupiter's in retrograde, sometimes the blessings, the obvious work that Jupiter's doing to move things forward for you starts to move into the backdrop. Okay, so if you have been having, like, let's say earlier this year, you started to see expansion for your work and your career and your place out in the world, or with anything having to do with teaching, learning, different countries, different cultures, religious or spiritual projects, you might have noticed that things were starting to move forward, and then when Jupiter went retrograde, you weren't noticing that the expansion was occurring. It kind of cooled off. Well, as of July, even though we are in the midst of energy with Mars and Mercury being in retrograde, Jupiter is a bigger, more influential planet. So you might see work-related things come to fruition in a big way. New jobs, promotions, additional work on the side of your current work. Okay, this is, and all of what I'm talking about here is going to be more likely true for earlier degree Aquarius placements, so if your birthday or your rising sign is earlier in the sign. But depending on your line of work, you could see it really for any of the Aquarius placements, especially for people that work with education of any kind, teaching, speaking, like I was mentioning, international efforts, international business, different countries, different languages, different cultures, spiritual or religious work. If you have your work in any of those sectors, then you could start to see this work moving forward again, just like I was talking about for the early degree placements, because for the rest of you, Jupiter is in this 9th house that rules all of those things. So either now or coming soon, this energy of work expansion is going to be very current. So if you're looking for a job, if things have been on hold, if things are not gelling for you, then there is a chance that this month it could come to you in a very big way. I'm calling the theme of the month for all Aquarius placements maximum manifestation, not only because of this Jupiter placement bringing things forward in a big way, but also because this Mars moving through your sign is a major activator. Now again, in some cases it could just be working in the backdrop, helping you deal with self-esteem issues, helping you deal with anger issues, helping you deal with things behind the scenes so that you can get ahead. But what Mars energy is about is getting ahead. So even when it's in retrograde, retrograde can bring up some of the things that you have to do to get ahead, even if you don't see things moving ahead. So it's either a time for fixing some things for future expansion or actual manifestation. I have seen Mars retrograde both personally and professionally bring in things that people have worked on for a long time or thought about for a long time. So you've got Jupiter working on your behalf there. You've got Mars very much activating everything about the Aquarius energy. And then you've got these two eclipses. So we've got the first eclipses on July 12th. That is a partial solar eclipse at 20 degrees of Cancer. If you want to understand more about where that eclipse may hit for your chart personally, then definitely watch my June, look for Annie Botticelli June, or it will could come on right after this video, or you can search for it on my channel. The June report, I talk about this July 12th eclipse and where it shows up in the chart for Aquarius. Then this month for the July reading, I'll talk about the July 27th total lunar eclipse at almost 5 degrees of Aquarius. And then in August, I'll talk about where the August eclipse hits. So as you can see, we have a very busy eclipse season. An eclipse brings massive change. It brings, sometimes there are changes that were expected and that you're excited about. Sometimes there are changes that come out of the blue that you are not excited about and were not expecting. Sometimes there's a major trajectory change. So you're moving in one direction and then you just completely change directions because of some sudden opportunity that comes in. Also, I've seen eclipses sometimes move up timelines. So this is another thing that we talked about with Mars retrograde. Sometimes when you're working on something and you see it out very far in the future, both Mars retrograde and eclipses can then all of a sudden now bring it into you, and it could shorten the timeline of something expected to happen. So a lot of busy energy there going on. So we've got this energy of the eclipse, and for you early degree placements, that's going to happen in the, let's see, first. Okay, so your early and middle degree placements are going to have that occur in the first house. And you late degree placements are going to have that occur in the 12th house. So let's talk about what that means. First of all, let's talk about what eclipses do, besides what I've already mentioned. Eclipses are one-time astronomical events, but as an astrological event, it's a period of time where change is occurring in certain areas of your life. So from the beginning of early 2017 through probably middle 2019, there's this eclipse cycle at play that is activating everything having to do with Aquarius. When you have an eclipse cycle in your sign, this is just a major couple of years of change upon change upon change upon change. And a lot of it has to do with you as an individual, what you're doing, what you're bringing out into the world, and also you in partnership. You've been noticing that a lot, if you've been listening to my reports, there's a lot of couple energy, a lot of 7th house couple energy that has been coming up in short-term and long-term ways for Aquarius. And these eclipses are one of the reasons why this is coming up. So me versus we is the topic here. You in relationship, you individually, getting yourself situated, going deeper into relationship, you know, all of this energy is very much being activated. So for most of you, you're going to experience some ending of how you were putting yourself out in the world, an ending of a job description of what you called yourself, an ending of an image that you had that you were putting out into the world. It could be, for some people, it could be a health crisis. If there's certain things that you were unaware of, or if you have been living in a certain way that hasn't been conducive to your health and to your health, then a health crisis could either bring this thing, whatever this hidden thing is out, or it could show you that you have to make important changes having to do with your health. So it's either your image or your health, or a description of yourself, an image of yourself. So something like that is going away. It's ending. It's culminating. It's coming to manifestation. So it could be any of these things I listed, or it could be something that you've been working on, again, just comes to fruition. And it could throw you into the limelight. That is a very common thing that occurs when there's activity in the first house, is that people have their attention on you. So if that's in a small circle, if that's in a big circle, it doesn't matter. It's the energy of recognition or people looking at you. So most of you are going to experience it there. You later degree placements, you're going to have this happen. Let's see. You can still have that manifestation in the first house, but you're also possibly going to feel that in the 12th house. All right, so the 12th house has to do with your fears and addictions. So if there's something that you're giving your power away, it's basically a place where we have hidden power, and it's a place where we give our power away. Sometimes we're aware of it, sometimes we're not. But things coming to light where you're giving your power away. It could be codependency, it could be relationship love addiction, it could be substances, it could be a certain relationship or a certain dynamic, or all of the many places. You know, it could also be that you're giving your power away to a past life or a childhood issue that's replaying and replaying and replaying, and you're not able to get past it. So this could come out in a big way. This could come up into your awareness in a big way. And you can also have a major healing. So again, there could be a crisis around it, or there could just be a breakthrough without a crisis, or there could be a crisis and then a breakthrough. But this, you know, definitely be looking for the places where you're putting power in something other than your highest experience. So it's a very busy month. A very busy time in general for Aquarius. Those are the things that are most on my mind for your individual chart. Now I want to talk about some more of this general transit energy, things to be aware of this month, what the eclipses mean from the general perspective, and what you might see with them. If you'd like a written version or a written horoscope for your sign, I have those available now at cozybysweetstarlight.com. Cozybysweetstarlight.com is my lifestyle blog. I have all kinds of different blogs, but there are also monthly horoscopes that are short, they're succinct, they're very much to the point, and they also have recommendations for great books to read because of the energies that month, each given month. If you are going to be traveling, then definitely check out my travel reports, my travel astrology reports at astrologykissedtravelbliss.com. So I've started a new website to help the fellow travelers, I'm a traveler as well, to use astrology to support your travel, and then also some fun travel blogs. Okay, so we're going to go into all of the details of the general transits now. So the theme of the month for all signs for July 2018 is 2 eclipses equals major transformation. We've been talking about these eclipses. We've got 3 in this cycle. 2 of the eclipses in this cycle are in July. The 3rd one is in August. Whenever it's eclipse time, drastic changes, expected and unexpected new paths open up. Very often there's a complete surprise trajectory change that takes us in a completely different direction. And in some cases it brings to fruition things intended or planned, and sometimes it can shorten the time frame for something that we had originally thought would be further out, where we wake up one day and we had planned something for the future and all of a sudden it's here now. So this eclipse time is a very powerful time, and there are other things going on besides these eclipses. So we're going to talk about these astrological transits to note for July. Mars is still in retrograde. So Mars just turned officially into retrograde at the end of June. I have been talking about this for a long time because it's a very long transit, and there is a period of time before and after a retrograde transit of a personal planet like Mars that is very long, and you start to feel the energies well before the retrograde actually occurs. Okay, so we've been talking about this Mars retrograde energy. We started feeling it in May, it officially turned in June, and now in July, we are fully into Mars retrograde. So this Mars retrograde is bringing permission to rest and to focus on relaxation and recreation, and what I like to call comfortable productivity. It's not that you can't get anything done in Mars retrograde. You absolutely can. You just have to follow the cues. It's not a time to be over ambitious, unless, of course, if you have Mars retrograde at birth, sometimes you can get more done during this transit than you do normally. But you would know it, because if you're trying to do something and it's working out and it's flowing really easily and you're not having roadblocks and you're not having frustrations, then that's totally fine. When you need to take the cue to rest and back off is when you're pushing and it's not working out the way that you wanted it to. So instead of just continuing to push, taking a step back is what is well indicated when Mars is in retrograde. So to second this notion, we have other astrological forces that are saying the same thing. Mercury is going to go into retrograde, and that's going to be on July 25th. And once that happens, it's going to further bring the past back into the present. So the shadow period for Mercury retrograde starts early in July. So essentially the whole month is very much in this energy of things coming up from the past. So opportunities from the past, ideas from the past, projects from the past are all very much indicated to focus on at this time. At the same time as all of this energy is going on, we have the eclipses happening, and the eclipses may bring change and opportunities to act on, whether you want them or are ready for them or not, or maybe you are. But since there's so much energy pointing towards the past, a lot of times it will be things from the past finally coming to fruition now. So it's totally fine to say yes to the things that come to you. You just want to have an awareness of maybe not having all of the information, maybe the project being different or turning out different than you think. And the big key here is to be the spider. Okay, the eclipses and the retrogrades both tell us the same story, which is be the spider. So spiders weave their web and they wait for the food to come to them. So that's the kind of time that this July energy is really bringing. It's bringing this just chilling out and waiting and seeing what comes to you, and then you can work with what comes to you as it comes. Okay, so we've also got 5 trines this month. Trines are the most wonderful harmonious aspect in astrology. So I'm going to give you some dates to watch here. Now, the dates that I'm going to list, I'm going to go into some detail about the transits, but if you'd like more detail about the transits I'm talking about or transits that I'm not talking about that are also occurring, then definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com, sign up for my free email newsletter, and you'll receive monthly written reports a month before the relevant time. If you've already signed up for my newsletter and you're not receiving my reports, they're either going into spam, promotions, social, or events folders in your email. So look for them in there and then transfer them into your inbox so that you get my mailings. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the dates to note. The first one, actually, I'm going to just list these sweet spot dates. They're trines, they're beautiful aspects where things can gel together in a wonderful way, where there's just little sweet spots. So in the days around July 5th, July 8th, July 11th, July 13th and 14th, July 25th, we're having this beautiful aspect of trines on all of those days. So look out for little boosts at that time. The next date to note is July 12th, and that is this partial solar eclipse at 20 degrees of Cancer. So for everyone, every sign, this can bring new things involving home, family, houses, real estate, anything involving home. If you're an architect, it could involve your work. You know, anything that involves homes or housing or family or childhood or psychology, childhood psychology especially. All of these things are very high on the list of potential manifestations from this solar eclipse energy. So in the days around July 12th, you'll especially feel this eclipse energy, but remember that you could have gotten news about this manifestation that may come in as soon as May, because we've got like 6 to even sometimes 8 weeks ahead of time is when pieces of the story start coming in for these eclipses, okay? But that is a date to note. I always try to avoid doing anything important on the eclipse dates. You just kind of want to try to be available for whatever shows up. On July 27th, the second eclipse is a total lunar eclipse, and this one is at 4 degrees, almost 5 degrees of Aquarius. So here we'll see a lot of activity along the lines of friends, friendships, acquaintances, social media, groups, humanitarian efforts, internet-based projects, large organizations, anything having to do with innovation or technology. So look for those things. And again, this stuff could come in months before or months after. We're moving along a continuum with these eclipses, but that's on July 27th is when the actual event occurs. Okay, so some dates to look out for that could bring some challenges. And you'll notice that some of the dates I listed for the trines that have some sweet spots, there are also some challenging aspects on those dates. So you may feel them on the same day, something positive happening, something challenging happening, or you may feel one day it's a little pocket of a sweet spot and the next day is a little bit of a challenge. It's always hard to be black and white about how these energies are going to manifest, but I just want to list them so that you can be aware. On the 5th of July, on the 9th, on the 24th, on the 25th, and on the 26th and 27th, we've got challenging aspects on those dates. We have some squares, we have some oppositions, and these bring pressure to change, basically, or put pressure on viewpoints or ways things have been done. You know, they're basically, I describe them as the pressure. Well, the squares are the pressure that creates the diamond. So sometimes if we have a diamond that we want to create in our lives, or a vision for this diamond, we have to do something about it. And if we're not doing something about it, or we're not sure what to do, this pressure comes in the form of this square, and it either shows us what we have to do or makes us fed up so that we actually take action. So you might see that energy show up this month from those squares. The oppositions bring overstimulation. Overstimulation is when there's a lot of busyness in opposing forces in our lives. So we've got an opposition in Leo and Aquarius on the 5th, so that could have to do with your own creativity versus the group, like your own flow versus the group flow. And then we've got another opposition on the 24th with Venus and Virgo opposing Neptune and Pisces. So this can be a lot of push and pull about the seen world and the unseen world, the logical world and the abstract world, and the intuitive world. You know, so you'll see some overstimulation with trying to balance being in multiple dimensions at once. Okay, so the things to note for this month: lots of sweet spots, some challenging points, and definitely massive opportunities for change, massive opportunities for things coming to fruition. The keynote here is to try to not plan too much unless you're very intuitively directed, or unless it comes to you to be planned for that time and that's out of your hands. And if something comes to you, then it's definitely fine to say yes to it. Just be aware that there may be changes that are continuing to happen over the rest of the retrogrades, and just to navigate as consciously as possible, leaving as much flexibility in your arrangements as possible. Mars retrograde is continuing this energy of relaxing, taking vacations, taking trips, doing nothing. And in that space of doing nothing, this is one of the most magical things that I love about retrograde. So people say, well, you can't do anything in retrogrades, and it's totally not true. It's just not a time to push. It's not a time to go against the tides. But what you can do, I always call it the shavasana of transits, because in that few minutes of shavasana at the end of a yoga practice, that integration, that quiet time, is when the insights come, when the clarity comes, when the important pieces come, when the breakthroughs come. So this Mars retrograde, this month of July, is like this shavasana point, where from that quiet space, pure genius can pop in and change everything. So these are the things that are most on my mind for the month of July. If you would love to learn astrology with me, check out my astrology apprenticeship program. I also have lots of other cool educational offerings on my site. If you would like to have an option for this recreation and retreat time to best use this Mars energy, maybe you would love to see me live at my Soul Connections retreat in gorgeous Siesta Key, Florida, which is on the Gulf Coast in Sarasota. I'm doing a live retreat where I'm having a small group of people do lots of fun things, restoration and healing and fun and relaxation, going to magical places that I've found in this area, which is where my primary residence is at this point. So I would love to see you at my Soul Connections retreat. You can see more about that at anniehelpsyou.com. And if you scroll down, you'll see a banner for it, and you can check it out. So I hope to see you live. There might be some slots still available depending on when you are looking at this. Definitely check out my hubby's offerings, B.R. Newman, at IAMHELIOS.com, IamHelios.com. He's got lots of sound frequencies that help to balance out challenging transits and also help to empower you during the transits that we have going on. So definitely check his site out. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.